number of reasons that I came to this decision. One was a medical one. Another one was more of a philosophical one, and one was certainly financial. The medical reason was that basically once the surgeon attacks with his knife and puts in a replacement of anything, it's going to be metal in my body. Not keen on that. As a dentist, I've avoided amalgam fillings and root canal therapies because of my belief in that sort of potential toxicity to your system. And once surgery is done, it's irreversible. It's as in dentistry, if I take out a tooth, and even with stem cells, I can't replace that tooth. Maybe in the years to come with 3D printers and stem cells I might be able to, but at the moment I can't. So surgery is irreversible, and once again they'll tell you you'll be back in 10 to 15 years and we'll do it again. They also don't really like to treat people much under 70 because of, I guess, some of the uncertainty of the success of the procedures. And even though I was, I guess, 70 when I had it done, I don't feel anything like 70, and I've tried to pretend I'm not that old for a long time. And the other one was certainly a cost issue. It was what is being offered at Phoenix Helsa was less than half the price of what is charged by the clinics in Australia who do it. They in turn were cheaper than what was being offered in Thailand, and Phoenix's fees were a quarter of what was being charged in China. American and Australian fees were about the same, but still more than double of what I could get done in Norway. Personal point of view, once again, sort of from if you like, a medical philosophical point of view, we're not using somebody else's body parts or a piece of equipment that's been manufactured somewhere else. My body parts. There's no drugs involved other than a small amount of pain relief that disappears very quickly. So there's no big pharma involvement. There's no. There are sophisticated centrifuge machines used, but they're not enormously expensive. So it's a moderately simple medical procedure that involves bits of me going back into me, and I felt that was a very sort of happy solution to that. The whole procedure was run in an extremely professional manner, and I was aware at the time that there was nowhere else in the world that I could get this done as well. One of the main points or the main attractions to having this done was to have it done in a country that is medically and socially advanced like Norway, that I can't think of too many better countries in which to recuperate in outside of Australia. So it was we got to see a lot of Norway, and the area around Lillesand where Dr. Pont's clinic is a great place for a retreat. Basically involved the platelet-rich plasma being drawn off. That was just simple venipuncture, and the blood spun down. No pain. They're great technicians, and Dr. Wilson was overseeing the interesting part of all this, and he was present on basically all these occasions, working as once again, which I think is a terrific bonus for Phoenix Helsa. You've got a medical doctor, you've got a chiropractic doctor. They employ other chiropractors and physiotherapists and really terrific staff. It's a blending of medical and paramedical modalities that can only be a really good thing. So that's one of the strengths as well. The second visit was for the stem cells, where I had a little bit of morphine sedation. Basically, I still felt right completely with it, except there was just no pain. And it's the liposuction. There's a small puncture done on the gut, on the belly, and they just shove a very small vacuum cleaner in and pull out all those nasty fat cells. Centrifuge that down as well, and then once again under Dr. Wilson's supervision, Dr. Pond injected the stem cells into the knees that had more joint space now because I'd had the PRP done 2 weeks before that. That was, for a brief moment, that was painful, and the morphine was good, and that really served the purpose, but even despite that, I felt significant pain for a brief period of time on both knees. The injections took 5 or 6 seconds. There was probably pain of about 6 out of 10. And then we went home and we relaxed a little bit and we were sitting around chatting, and the morphine wore off, and I went up to an 8 out of 10. I was seriously sore, so I took myself to bed. I had been advised to take some analgesic pain relief, but I'm an obtuse sort of person, but I wanted, for my own knowledge, to know what sort of discomfort people were going to have to go through, because I didn't want people telling me, you should have this done, it doesn't hurt. Well, I'm glad I didn't, because it did hurt. But it didn't hurt for a great deal of time, and I could have made life a lot easier for myself if I had have taken some sedation or pain relief. 2 weeks after that, and then actually what we did, once we had the stem cells done, I had a good night's sleep, and then the next day hopped on a bus and went for 5 hours back to Oslo, walked around for a little while at Oslo station. Next day hopped on a train for 4 days and wandered around. I had no discomfort. You know, we were carrying and pushing fairly big suitcases with us all the time. Nil discomfort. And actually a week after the stem cells, we'd gone to Scotland for a little bit of a bucket list break, and we walked 18 holes on a golf course. I hadn't walked 18 holes on a golf course for probably 4 years because it was just too painful. I had no pain, no discomfort, played dreadful golf, but it was really nice to know that I could sort of still walk it. So then after 2 weeks, we went back to Lillesand again and had another PRP session. That was, once again, there's no pain from having the blood taken, but that was painful when that was done. And it was probably done, we realised I'd created a very small turnaround time with our travel arrangements because we'd allocated 5 weeks for the whole process to be done. On reflection, we probably should have left it 2 months or thereabouts after the stem cells before having the PRP again. So when the PRP was done the second time, the injections were going into joints that were just full of these delicious little undifferentiated cells that were just waiting to do things. So there was a lot of resistance, and that was an 8 out of 10, and that lingered probably for about 10 minutes. But then it eased off, and within 24 hours, no pain, no discomfort. The discomfort is really momentary. It doesn't last for very long. The pain can be minimized if you take the advice of the surgeons rather than wanting to be tough. And once again, if I have to go through the same procedure with the same amount of pain in 10 years' time, not a problem. Have no dramas at all. I've been told, and I'm fully convinced that this is going to be the case, that the full extent of my recovery won't be apparent probably for 3 or 4 months as the cells and everything else differentiate into their cartilage or their ligament or their muscle or whatever they're going to do. But I've been going to a gym regularly. I swim regularly, and swimming, as we all know, is just a great a great exercise for the body generally. Being in Australia, that's even easier. It's swimming in the ocean is even better than swimming in a pool. And at the moment, I have an interesting situation where I could jump off a table without even thinking a great deal about the repercussions, and I've not had that cushioning effect in my knees for 20 years. The only negative effect actually derives from a positive, because I'd like to be doing more. I'd like to run again, I'd like to cycle more, but I'm aware that I need to hasten slowly with that. So that's not really a negative. There are only positives. The range of motion in my knees is significantly different than what it was. I haven't got clicks and clunks. I could sit there on the lounge just watching my knees going, just flexing my knees up, and I could marvel on the way that the bones used to jump around all over the place. That doesn't happen. I have a fullness in both knees that I get a great deal of joy from, that it just feels stronger. It just feels as though there's more protective material in those joints that are enabling me to do more. My wife is my sea anchor, and she will stop me from doing more than she thinks I should. But I'm slowly trying to build up what I'm doing. I'd like to ski in about another month, but the running, I'll probably leave another couple of months after that. I'd just like to be a little bit more certain that the soft tissue in those knees are strong enough to support that sort of activity. Absolutely. Without in fact, it's I'm sure the improvements and the progress and the knowledge in this sort of work, it can only sort of be massive in the next few years. And while I believe I've got 10 to 15 years and longer out of this, I'll be back at some stage later for a top up, without question. I certainly would, only because the product that's delivered, I think, is superior to what I can get in Australia. And Australia has quite a good international name for stem cell therapy, but having experienced what I have had in Phoenix Helsa, and knowing what their plans are for the future, and the clinic is not going to stand still. They've got massive plans to make recovery and the treatment itself even more slick and smooth than what it is now. That I've already been recommending it to friends. I did daily posts on Facebook of our whole trip and reports from the treatment that were posted on Facebook. And I had probably about 20 people following me very closely, and half a dozen of those are seriously contemplating a trip to Norway. So it's I'm here as an agent for medico tourism for Norway as well. It does actually. It's as you get older, or as one gets older, bits continuously start to drop off, and your mobility and your normal function begins to develop impairments. I think stem cells, and what I've had, I think, is just the tip of the iceberg. I think where stem cell therapy is heading is just brilliant, and I'm really keen to watch how Dr. Pont and his little team in Lillesand keep promoting the stem cell journey. It's almost without limit.